Hi, and welcome back to the Hangar with Xcraft. And so we're going to start working on this Academy P51. And I've been trying to figure out, it's a 48 scale. And if you watch my unboxing video, it's not a terribly impressive looking kit. But we're going to build this up, see what we can turn it into. So I've been trying to figure out exactly what P51 this is. And based on what I'm seeing, I've been doing a little research. I've got one of these Squadron Signal books all about the P51. So paging through here, it appears it's either a P51A or a P51 1A from what I'm seeing. There's a couple different variations of this aircraft, and I'm seeing differences in the windscreen. Now we get up here, and this shows a windscreen here for an A36, which is the Apache, and it's the same airplane, different designation, different roles, if you will. And the windscreen is different. It's definitely different. You can see right here on the P51A where there's this framework in the side window of the front windshield. And on the A36 that does not exist. Well, this kit comes with two different windshields, one with and one without. So I'm believing that it could be built as either an A36 or a P51A or a P51 1A. I'm guessing the kit is really vague in this, and I feel like it's just they just said, oh, it's a P51. No one's going to care what it is. I kind of feel like that's the approach Academy took with this kit, is they just didn't really put a lot of time and effort into this kit. They just reboxed something old and threw their own pictures on it and in a new box and hoped for the best. And it's a cool, I love the platform, because I haven't looked very hard either, but I have not seen another P51A. I know they're Accurate Miniatures used to do an A36, the Apache, but that's out of production, I believe, and not easy to find, it seems. And if you do find it, it's probably going to be expensive. So, yeah, we're just going to build this up. We're not going to worry a whole ton about accuracy. We're going to build it up. We're going to paint it, and we're going to make it look good, and we're going to put it on the shelf. I'm not going to put a lot of effort into accuracy on this kit to try to make it look exactly the way it should. So, that being said, let's get after that right now.
Okay, so you can see here in this video that my ultimate goal here with this kit is, because it's so simple, I want to see if I can build this thing start to finish, short, maybe weathering, um, in the weekend, just over this weekend. Assuming, there's going to be drying times and whatnot involved. You could see I've gone ahead and I pre-sprayed everything I could while it was on the trees, just to make it a little bit, simpler for handling and whatnot. I do that a lot. I'll pre-paint a lot of stuff ahead of time. So I've got the propeller done, interior components done. Here I'm assembling the interior itself and getting it installed. It's a very, very sparse interior. There is no real detail in it. There's a couple little panels. The dash you really can't see very well because it's tucked up underneath anyways. So, so it's fairly simple in the cockpit construction. Here I'm getting those fuselage halves attached together, getting them closed up. The fit was pretty good with these. On the bottom, ended up with some work to try to straighten it out, to try to smooth things out. It didn't fit the greatest. It wasn't horrible, but I've had better. The real issue is up at the forward part of the fuselage where that cowl joins, and you're gonna see that coming up here. Here I'm working on trying to get these funky little tabs they have that remains of the wing root in place so I can attach that cowl. And that area was not difficult, but it's just they just didn't want to stay in place very well at all, and I ended up having to do a bunch of sanding in that area before I could do primer. Here I'm dressing out the top seams and the bottom seams on the fuselage halves, getting those cleaned up some. Ultimately, after I sprayed primer on, I ended up having to go back and do some more work to these areas where I thought they looked good. The primer brought out some spots that still needed to have some attention. So there, sorry, I'm off camera. I have a bad habit of leaning back sometimes, and I'm out of camera shot. I'm just at this point, I'm just dressing out the seams on the wing joints and dry fitting it to the fuselage, and trying to get those forward parts, those wing root pieces, lined up well with the fuselage halves, or I'm sorry, with the wing as I mount it to the fuselage. And let's see, elevators. I'm sorry, horizontal stabilizer installed. Things are looking pretty good there. Here I'm just getting some things painted, getting the tires painted. And I'm masking off the inner gear doors on the P51s. There's a panel that runs on the inner gear door, and that would be either zinc chromate or yellow chromate. In my case, I'm not really sure what it should be. I just went with zinc chromate because I wasn't really too worked up about trying to make this model quote unquote correct. So I just used some zinc chromate there, and then the rest of the gear door is sprayed aluminum. And here I'm getting the wheel hubs installed on the wheels, dressing those out a little bit, trying to make them look right. So landing gear is done and ready to be installed. I've weathered that with some of the Tamiya panel line. You can see I'm using right here right now. So those are ready to go once I'm done with the model itself. I've mentioned before in other videos, I don't like to install that stuff too soon so it doesn't get broken while I'm handling the model during finishing purposes.
So, you just watched a time-lapse video of me basically assembling this entire model, short the landing gear, and and an antenna and propeller, and that's guns. Finish the guns, and that's really it. This thing built so fast, but I found out something while I was building it. On the inside of this wing, at the trailing edge, right here in the middle, it is stamped Accurate Miniatures 1994. So this is in fact a rebox of an Accurate Miniatures kit. And I wonder now, is this actually a rebox of the A36 Apache? And I wonder that solely because of what I pointed out earlier with the difference in the windshield, because it appears to have an Apache style windshield, which is kind of cool. So far, you know, it's built up actually quite well. Everything is interlocked nicely. Joints have come together pretty good. This is the only problem area that I'm finding right up here. And this is all because of the way they designed this, where the front, the nose of the airplane, where the engine would be, is a separate piece, because it leaves this small, narrow, overhanging section of the wing fillet that has to be gotten in place, and it's very flexible, and it's like that on both sides. And yeah, a little tricky to get lined up. It's gonna need definitely gonna need some dressing out. Might need some putty on that to make that look halfway decent. But this is a fast build. There's every likelihood we'll get some paint on this. So, but I wanted to point that out, that I believe this is actually the Accurate Miniatures A36 Apache. So I went ahead and I jumped forward here a little bit because I needed to mask off this canopy, the windshield, the canopy itself, and then the side windows. And these things were really, really difficult to mask off and get installed. And I hate brush painting them because they just don't come out looking good at all, in my opinion. So I wanted to be able to spray them. I like to install them on the model first and then spray them, then remove my masks. However, boy, the framework, the molded framework on this canopy and all these windows is really, really faint. And it is very difficult to mask off. So it took me forever to do these, which is why you don't see it in video, because there is no point in y'all sitting there and watching me struggle to get those done. So, but they're done, they're on, and we're ready to put some paint on this. So we're gonna get some primer sprayed down, and then neutral gray on the bottom and olive drab on the top. It's a very, very basic paint job for this little feller. So we'll get some primer down on here, and we'll go from there.
So keep your eye out for part 2 of this weekend build. And next you'll be seeing some paint going on, and decals and finish work coming up. So until next time, please like and subscribe, tell your friends, make some comments, and don't forget to always, please, keep your fingers out of the glue. Okay, I know I said we were going to roll into decals. However, I'm not going to use the yellow stripe decals that come with the kit. I'm currently masking those off in the video here to spray those on my own. When it comes to just to stripes, or even just like the Japanese, the meatballs on a Japanese airplane, you know, it's just a round circle. I prefer to paint that stuff. I think it looks more realistic than decals do. Decals look good if they're done right, but I just prefer to paint if I can. So that's what I'm doing here now, making some use of that scrap paper that was in the box. So at this point here, I'm getting the white base coat sprayed down. Yeah, I'm a little off camera because I'm doing the spraying, and again, I apologize. It's a bad habit of mine, but I get the white base coat sprayed down, and then the yellow over top of that, and then the stripes are ready to go. And here I'm getting the Sprinter sprayed. That's red. We'll get onto decals here in just a minute, but I wanted to get this paint out of the way so it could set. You can see I'm getting the roundels installed on the fuselage. Use some Tamiya panel line in the wheel well openings to give them a little age and a little character. Getting the side fuselage decals installed here now, and then the American flags on the tail, of course, fuselage numbers, and then the nose art. And that's it for decals on this airplane.